Stagnation in comp and how it's affecting the community? Oh, that's actually something worth talking about. Ooh. Ooh, okay, okay. I could talk about that in a few different ways, but I guess I want to start by talking about the state of teams. Because I don't know how aware or, like, how clear this is right now. But most comp teams are either disbanded or just in a state of being dead. Like, there are exceptions to this, but most teams are either very inactive or completely dead. In Europe, for example, we lost Kraken Paradise. Astral and Freeze are pretty active. Kraken Paradise isn't active. Alliance Rogue is kind of a team, kind of a French-only team kind of thing. It's in a state of limbo. There's not really any other, like, every other top EU person is in a pickup team. Like, there's the Robbie and Friends pickup, which is like Hypnos, Kotaro, and Robbie. A few others. In NA, FC Win's been kind of dead, but they're about to come back now, I think. Maybe. I don't know, I just saw Kyo's Twitter. It seems like they're maybe coming back. Destiny Bond is like full just pickup group at this point, rather than partial team. Seo's been on a break. Quantum I haven't seen in months. Green is a pickup team. Supernova's been a bit on and off, but we've been off for a few weeks. Now we're like slowly playing again. And then there's a few other pickup groups, like I have the legendary Ice Doesn't Like Group Chats pickup thing. And then, of course, for NA teams there are some alive, like Slaughterhouse and In Control. I don't know if Enlightenment's a team again, or if they're a pickup. I really can't fucking tell anymore. I haven't looked into it, so. Teams are in this very pickup-y state, where not a lot of teams are actually dying, but a lot of them just aren't playing right now. And I guess that's kind of an interesting thing to me, because in Japan, that's what it's kind of like. In the sense, like, people do pickups a lot and are of different pickup groups rather than full, like, dedicated teams a lot of the time. And I kind of like pickup groups and feel like they're the future. Because it's not, like, as active as a team, you still get to improve, it allows you to see a lot of different combinations of top players at the top and other players in general. So it gives kind of, like, you get to see different combinations of players that you never saw with, like, I guess to give an example from our own top art group we did with me, DJ, Ice, and Tic Tac, we don't have, like, a traditional frontline shooter. We have, like, Slosher, Rapid, H3, Charger. And I've honestly found out that that comp kind of works super well, and I don't think I'd ever been able to test it without a group like that. Like, I'm ultimately enjoying it, but I don't think it's a comp I would have ever found if it wasn't for that group, because that was just a pickup for a tournament. And I'm playing with them again for WFB, so I mean, we'll see how that comp works further. But we'll also get to see things like Dream, where we get to see Zero Power and Kyo team up, which is kind of legendary. So it's like, it's pretty interesting. I think it brings a lot to the table. At the same time, a lot of people like to see the progression of full teams, not just individual players. And I think this pickup group environment basically puts a lot more on actual players rather than teams. There's a lot more individual identity now with a lot more pickup groups. Because before you'd categorize players a lot by their teams and just how good their team is, but with pickup groups it's which players are good and which players are a good combination. So we start to see players being more categorized by actual individual players rather than as a team. So I think it's just interesting to see, honestly. I'm not sure what I think of it, but I think it has its positives and negatives. I would like to see more teams being active, but I do think for people whose teams are inactive, it's not a bad thing that pickup groups are being more of a thing. I guess I just want teams thrown more into the mix, you know? Like, I want to see more just actual teams. That's kind of what I want to see. But I mean, I feel like if teams are dead, then it completely makes sense that there are more pickup groups. But I do want to see more teams being active as well. I also think, like, at some point at top level, teams have to be harsher with activity and shit. But that's kind of a different conversation, so I won't really speak much on it. But I think some teams stick around just because they've been there for a while, or if they need to make changes, they don't do it. But yeah, that's my take on it. That's ultimately my opinions. But yeah, I'm overall still happy with the state of things there. The one thing I will say I don't like right now, which I think is overshadowing it, and part of the reason some teams aren't as motivated, is there is a lack of fucking major events happening. There's been a problem for most of the year. I know LANs have been absent, and I'm not acting like that isn't part of it, but it's not an excuse to, like, not have any events happening. I just would like to see some major events in the summer, but I'm sure Endgame or maybe GSM has something planned. But I would really like to see some more major events happening. Pay to Spot is alright, but it's not perfect, and I think it's like more of an experimental tournament than a major from my reflections on it. Which is not a bad thing, just I want a more standard major event with a lot of teams entering again. Because I think that would be really interesting. That's more what I want to see in terms of stagnation in the community. So, I want to see more major events. I think pickup groups are fine. Teams should play more if they get the chance, though. And ultimately, I'm really happy with the state of the game itself. I think a lot of people just complain about it too much when, like people who complain about Western meta, which isn't even the actual meta. Like, we haven't even developed the meta in this patch, like, at all. Like, we don't even run it, and people are already complaining about it, like, it's weird. I guess that's the last thing I'll add to this conversation is bitching about the meta is kind of annoying, so we don't even know about it. And Nintendo does a lot more than we realize. I mean, everyone was on them for not nerfing Junior, but Junior's kind of irrelevant in this patch, and they didn't even touch it, and that's kind of whack when you think about it, but it's true. So, maybe Nintendo knows a bit more about game bounce than they think they do. And 10 and Ballpoint's current states were really unfun to play against. I do kind of feel bad for Ballpoint because it's not really too used yet, but 10's still usable, and I think they've ultimately made the game more fun in this patch. Totally not biased because they made crap better in this patch, but indirectly, but I still think they changed the game for the better in this patch. The armor weapons that are being used are Zap and H3, which are actually fun armor weapons. Junior got killed, some of the most annoying things to play against are gone, and we're in a state where the meta is developing, which is really interesting because it gives a time for people to try out less conventional strats, which plays perfectly with pickup groups, allowing you to do more experimental moves. So, yeah. Ultimately, I think it's pretty cool. But, yeah, that's my take on it all. Now, the real question is... Actually, it's not a question. We won this game. Team and I grind almost every day, and when I see that some teams only play on weekends, I was kind of shocked. Yeah, I mean, it could be motivation. That could be a factor of it. So, it is what it is. People cried for a K-Pro nerf, and look what happened. Yeah, but K-Pro was still nerfed. Just not in the way people thought it would. Which I liked how they nerfed it better, and looking back.